To GMT. The Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi is about to address the World Economic Forum in Davos. It's a keynote speech from him, and it comes with business leaders and the IMF predicting a rosy future for the global economy. Don't forget as well, President Trump is due in Davos later in the week. His attendance was in jeopardy until a deal was reached to end the US government shutdown. Watching all the comings and goings and keeping across everything at Davos for us is Sally Bonduck, and we can talk to her now. Sally, greetings from our nice warm studio. Looking glorious there with all of the snow. Is there a sense of anticipation about Narendra Modi? He's about to start talking soon, we think.
Yeah, absolutely. He's about to speak any moment, actually, and he's the keynote speaker today, as you've mentioned, the Indian Prime Minister, and the first Indian Prime Minister to come here for many years. And as you've mentioned, there's a real sense of optimism here about the global economy. The International Monetary Fund yesterday upgrading its outlook for this year, and also a survey of business leaders, the majority of whom saying they're the most optimistic now than they have been for many years. But the challenges are also being addressed here as well. And what's really interesting about the World Economic Forum this year, there's a lot of changes going on. You've mentioned the fact that, of course, we're preparing for the arrival of the US President Donald Trump. But also, what's different this year is the co-chairs of the World Economic Forum are all women this year, and that's not a coincidence, that's absolutely deliberate. And that is because they want to really highlight some of the issues facing women around the world and some of the challenges that they are facing. And that panel of co-chairs, all women, as I've mentioned, were among those addressing the delegates here at the World Economic Forum. And one of those co-chairs, they're women who are recognised for their outstanding leadership, is Christine Lagarde. Of course, she is the Managing Director of the International Monetary Fund, but also she is one of the World Economic Forum's co-chairs. And it was very interesting to hear what she in particular had to say about some of the challenges facing women. Let's have a listen.
My hope is that we can collectively demonstrate, as has already begun actually, that even without testosterones, we can actually produce positive, constructive energy to deliver solutions. That's my goal. And I think the two key objectives that we have, now that from an economic point of view, we are in a sweet spot. That's where we are now. We can actually focus on shared responsibilities and shared opportunities. And what I mean by shared opportunities is, first of all, empower women and turn this anger that we have seen into action. And that we have to do together, both men and women.
So some very strong language and strong words there from Christine Lagarde, and she's talking about turning the anger, and by that she's sort of referring to, of course, the hashtag #MeToo campaign that's been dominant now for quite some time, and of course was sparked by the investigation and allegations levelled at Harvey Weinstein in Hollywood. But what she's saying is, let's garner that anger and let's turn it into an opportunity to change and empower women all over the world. And by that she's talking about women who face serious challenges in some countries around the world, challenges in terms of just getting an education and just being able to come into the workplace. So she was sharing her ambitions and how she wants to have that discussion very much at the forefront here at the World Economic Forum, as well as other conversations. Lucy, back to you.
Great to see you, Sally. Thanks so much. So we are waiting, as is everyone.